So firstly, like, congratulations on your podcast. I saw that it's doing really well.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. We're excited.
How are you finding like the adjustment to podcasting from reality TV?
It's a lot more, it's way more difficult. And I have been on a lot of podcasts, but it's a whole nother ball game to host things. I
Mm.
think you gotta like keep the ball rolling and like explain things. So it's like a little different of a territory, but I love it. It's like a different way to connect with people. And I think it's exciting to see everyone's comments and reactions to the new season.
Yes, no, I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. You were talking a minute ago, Natalie, about like when you watch reality TV, how you sort of judge people in a certain way. I have to
Mhm.
ask you, obviously, did you watch Perfect Match?
Yes. Natalie, not so much, I don't think.
So I like skip through episodes. I skipped like any scene with Shane. So I don't really know like everyone's storylines, but I love but I love Savannah from the show. I love
Yeah.
Savannah. I met Inez in LA. And I love her. I also love Chloe. So I was like, let me just like watch like some of like their introductions and things like that.
Mhm.
I have heard about the show, like kind of what happens on it, like through like Deepti and the other girls on my cast. So,
Sure.
um, so I guess
Yeah.
I
my
mean, I
answer is I
just,
kind of have watched it.
yeah, I love the fact that you admitted to watching it, but then fast forwarding through his scenes.
I was like, I'm just being real. I was like, the last thing I want to see is my ex on TV again.
True. It's triggering.
Yeah.
But I did meet Carousel in New York and she is so fun. Like she's a good time. Like she doesn't even drink. Like it was great to get to know her and Bartiz. Bartiz.
She, I mean, she seems really lovely, Carousel, but I'm not sure about Bartiz.
Okay. Okay. I had the same thing going into it. And I was like, oh, great. Like I got paired up with Bartiz. Like everyone's going to say some shit about this. But you know what the conclusion came to was Bartiz is a good friend, but he's not a good boyfriend. Like if you try to date him, it's another ball game. But as a friend, he's not so bad.
Okay, so just quickly, are you talking about this experience that was this weekend just gone?
Yes, like the
Right, so tell us about this because I wasn't 100% sure exactly what it was.
Yeah, so because there's a live reunion happening for the first time ever in Netflix history, they are promoting us to watch it and stuff. So they have three stops. It's New York, Nashville, and LA. So I got to go to the first one in New York, and then Natalie's going to be at the one in LA. But essentially, they recreated pods for us, and so there's two lines. People like kind of talk to each other blindly, and so us four, me, Bliss, Kwame, and Bartiz, we were like just there to promote it, and we like would squeeze into some of the pods and talk to some of the people. So
Oh my God, I love that. So it was just people from the public talking to other members of the public through the
yeah,
world.
exactly. Yeah,
Love that.
yeah, it's fun
I
actually.
mean, I don't want to be in the pods again, so I'm like not looking forward to it. And also, I'm like, who are we? It's not like we're like famous. I was like, are people actually
No,
trying to like? I think they're really just coming for the pods, and we're just there to be like,
honestly, Nat, you would be so surprised. I was just standing there and I would look over and there was like such a huge line. And I was like, oh my God, like people are so sweet and kind. Like they were actually waiting to, I think I took like 2,000 photos that day. Like my cheeks hurt.
Listen, I feel like it's just part and parcel of it. Like if people go there for the experience because they love the show, it's just a bonus if there's cast members there who they actually liked and agreed with that were on the show. And I do feel like you two from your season were quite well liked. Um,
I was
but yeah,
like,
no,
it's
that was.
yes
It's
or
a
no for
toss up
me.
for us. Some people have
There's
reservations.
so wait, were the people who were going into the pods, were they actually, could they then be like, oh, I really liked him, let me get his number? Or
Yeah.
oh,
But
they
you know,
could.
it's like it's not gender specific. So sometimes you get like two women, two men, and it's just like let's just have the experience to see what it's like to talk behind a wall, essentially. And then they like built this thing where like after you speak, like the wall goes up and you're like, who is it? It was
Oh,
fun.
okay, like a reveal.
Yeah, like a little reveal. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got
Like a little
you.
makeshift like a reveal moment.
Yeah, 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 sure.
People will recognize you by your voice, so they're like, I just saw you walk in there. I'm like,
Oh, I didn't
oh.
know that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You like basically talk through the wall and then
So let me like live through my trauma like 20 times with those musical doors coming up. Amazing. Love it.
That's funny.
So you're saying that you, like, when you watched Perfect Match, just quickly to go back to that you fast forwarded through all the scenes. Deepti, if it was Shake that was on there, would you have watched it?
Yeah, I think I'm over the trauma a little bit. It's not as triggering for me. Like I want him to be happy, move on, whatever. And I kind of just he's such a good TV character, don't you guys agree? Like he says the most unhinged things. Like
Character is correct.
yeah, like he's gonna be on the new show, like House of Villains. I think it's very fitting for him. Like
What's this new show? Tell me more.
Oh, you haven't heard about this? It's called The House of Villains. And it's just a bunch of villains from across reality shows that are going to be put in the same house. I don't exactly know the premise of it. Like, do they do competitions? I have no idea,
It's
but
gonna be on E. I think it was
E,
like a leak. Like someone tweeted about it or something like that, that he was like part of the cast along with like some people from like Bachelor Nation and like the Real Housewives, and I guess it's like they're
the
and like
challenge.
do you remember New York from
Tiffany, yeah.
Tiffany?
Yeah.
She's on it.
She's iconic, yeah.
Bananas is on it from the challenge. Johnny
Yeah.
Bananas. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because when you were talking about it, I was thinking, is she allowed to say this? Like, is she breaking an NDA?
I think it's out there for the public at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to watch it, especially if Tiffany's in it, I think.
Yeah, I love Tiffany actually. I feel like I grew up watching her on like the OG reality
Yeah.
TV shows. So I'm like, I cannot wait.
Yeah. I think like Farrah is on it too from Teen
Oh,
Mom.
from Timo.
Farrah Abrams, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about her, but she got famous enough that I know who she is. That's
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so just a few more like questions about your time on the show as well, like a little bit as well, because the last obviously that we saw was after the altar from you guys. So Natalie, was Shaina actually invited to your birthday, or was this like a production needs an excuse for everyone to get together, so we'll just pick somebody's birthday, but she's going to be there regardless?
Yeah. So it was actually supposed to just be a party that we were having, like part of filming, and then it was on the day of my birthday or the day before my birthday. So I think they try to like put two and two together. I'm not sure because I think some scenes with Shayna were filmed like after the fact. So I don't know if she knew it was my birthday, but I think we all went into that party knowing it was my birthday. It's obviously like production set up because it's being obviously filmed, but it was actually my real like birthday party. Like we had a celebration like off camera, but obviously like a lot of it like production was like we're gonna be filming it. So
And when she got there, were you like bombastic side eye?
to be honest, I was actually very cordial at first. I was like, "Hi, thanks for coming." They obviously didn't show that in the episodes. And then I think the longer she stayed, they actually cut something out where a cast member who wasn't on the main cast like came up and said like, "Hey, I heard something about Shane and Shayna, or I like witnessed something between them that happened." This was like all cut out from the show, and so that caused a whole like storm because I don't know if it was made clear, but Shane and I actually rekindled 2 weeks before after the altar film. So everything was very like fresh and new, even though it came out 6 months later. But at the time it was very like everything was very sensitive because him and I had like kind of gotten back together. I wouldn't say gotten back together, but he was very much like, let's see if there's anything there. Like I apologize for everything. So it was just a very sensitive time that kind of like blew up at my birthday party behind the scenes.
Okay, yeah, because I was just very thrown by the announcement of the engagement at your birthday. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I was like, look, I don't think she would have, I'm just giving her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think she would have done that if it was like the cameras weren't there and she was like, like I don't think anyone does that. I think it was more so like the cameras are here, like let's kind of like announce it because it's going to be on TV and like
sure.
people always like you say more in front of the cameras than, what you would actually I think say privately or do privately.
It's called desperate for screen time, is what we call it in the industry. But um, No, but she was probably like, "Oh, I just want everybody to know that I'm happy after, even
Yeah.
after all of the shit that they've given me."
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Deepti, like with um with you and Kyle, was
Yeah.
this real?
Yeah, okay. I get so many questions about this, and it's like, for all I can talk about is from my end. Like, we started hanging out like 3 months after the show had wrapped. So, like, back in October. So, that's like months and months before After the Altar was filmed. Like, I hung out with him every single day. That was my best friend. Like, there was always feelings there. We just didn't want to lose the friendship. And like, from my end, like, it's not cloud chasing. I already had a following. Not that that was important, but like, what is like being with Kyle gonna benefit me in any way? Like, I just loved him as a person, and like, I really cared about him. I don't know from his end if there was, I'm sure there was like some motivation to be like, oh, like this is gonna get me seen more.
Yes, of course there
Yeah, I was kind of blind to it. No pun intended. Like, I just have the best intentions, and I just expect people that are in my life to have the same. And it just, it would suck to hear that, it wasn't. But now that I'm out of it, I can kind of see how he kind of used me a little bit. So,
So did you guys ever sort of cross over from friends to romantic?
yeah, we did. We weren't on a full-blown relationship, but like, I think After the Altar really like, made us like think about it, and we're like, well, I don't want to lose you, so let's try it. And we even like moved to LA for a month and lived together. So it like, I wish it wasn't real. That way it would have hurt less. So yeah, it wasn't really I don't know. We weren't faking it, if that's the question. At least for
Um,
my end. At least for my end.
Can I just add, because I like obviously lived through it with you as your
Hmm.
friend,
Yeah.
and this is something like all the women on our cast is very aware of. I think that I like, because I've seen the comments where people are like, they faked their relationship. Shake has said it, Shane has said it. But like for people who lived it through you and were trying to like pick up the pieces for you when you and Kyle ended, like it was very much real and short term. I think on Kyle's end, he knew exactly what he was doing to get more like followers and screen time. Like when he announced that he loved you at the reunion show, even though we all try to act really happy for you because we knew privately how much you did like him, I think like the general consensus now is that, yeah, he was definitely using you and kind of taking advantage of your, I'm not calling you naive by any means, but I think knew how much you liked him and kind of took advantage of that. And it's something we'll talk more on our podcast. Like we have this episode coming out where any direct question, whether it's good or bad, that are most asked, like was Kyle and Deepti like clout chasing, like we're just gonna answer it in full. Like what really happened on the night of my wedding, like we're gonna or the night before my wedding, like something we'll just answer one day, because I think that there's a lot of like misinformation going on, or like a lot of assumptions.
Hmm.
Sorry, that's long, but that's my
okay, well, I have a question. Will you answer it?
sure.
At Natalie? Or at-
Oh yeah, which one?
No,
Yeah.
this is for Deep D.
Yeah. Yes, yes.
So, do you remember after the show, Shake was on a live and he was
Mhm.
like talking shit about you?
Oh yeah, always. Hmm.
Was this slanderous? He said
Hmm.
that you and Shane were doing blow together.
Bro, he coming from somebody who went to rehab for drugs, I think it's just a projection to like tarnish my name, honestly. And he'll say whatever he wants to say just to get, first of all, just to get people to listen to him. And I think he hates the fact that people actually like me, and people like me because I'm genuine and a good person. And, he will do anything and say anything to, kind of to tarnish my reputation. But you know what? I know it's true, so I never even publicly like responded to it. I was like, say what you
Sure.
want, bro. Like,
I actually don't know about this, but now that's beyond me. Like, but what I will say is like that's kind of crazy he said that, because
he literally is in the party scene. He's a DJ. Like, bro, like, what do they say? Don't throw stones at glass houses. Is that the
Yeah.
term? Like,
No, even I thought it was funny. You could,
yeah.
yeah.
It
Um,
just, yeah.
okay, so we're going to move on to like season 4 now.
Let's
And just
do
quickly
it.
before we do, how funny that both of your exes, Shane and Kyle, now have OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I don't have anything against OnlyFans because I'm
Me
like,
neither.
because like I hate being judgy about that because look at Deepti and I. Look, I'm going to be very candid right now. In terms of our podcast, it was definitely an opportunity to be jumped on. Was a little bit about like, well, I think it started for like people were DMing us about like our reactions to the latest seasons and did we jump on it of like this is a really good avenue to maybe like monetize but also like share like what we know and kind of like humanize the contestants a little bit for sure. So I was like, I don't blame them for starting OnlyFans, like if it's like a way to monetize on their end, because I was like, I get
Do
it.
what you
Like I
gotta
can't be
do.
like a hypocrite and be like, oh my God. But do I think will I ever subscribe to them? No. Do I
No.
think there's anything interesting to show? I was like, I'm not really, but hey, you.
Yeah,
Ah,
honestly, Kyle hid it from me when we were still following each other. He like blocked me from looking at his story that said like join me on OnlyFans.
Oh, same.
And then I texted him and I was like, "Why did you block me from this? You know I'm going to see it. I don't judge." And he's just like, "Well, I just didn't want you to know." And I'm like, "That's kind of odd." But when we were together, he wanted to do OnlyFans, but I was like, "Nah, bro. Like please don't." Like that just so as soon as we broke up, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do OnlyFans." But
I
good for
think you,
him. Do what you want to do.
I think you
Make your
should
money,
both just
honey.
tweet about it and be like, "I've seen it. It's all photoshopped."
Yeah.
You're like, that's it's not what I knew. Like I was like, it's not what I
Imagine.
saw, but
I
no,
Yeah.
do. There's a piece of me that is like, yeah, been there, done that, looked at that. Don't need to go back and revisit it. It's for him and his girlfriend now.
yeah, but I was like, no shame in the money game. Okay.
Exactly. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, totally, totally. Get your bag.
Yeah, get your back.
Um, so season 4.
Oh.
Question: where are all of their followers? Because how many followers did you have when you came out?
Uh, like when I started the show, or
Like when you
oh, when
came
I
out of Love Is
oh,
Blind.
Love is Blind. 1 mil.
When
It's
you
because
came
I said
out.
those 3 words at the altar.
See, I actually think they're getting a higher follower count if you compare it to where we were um like pre-wedding episode.
Oh,
Because I
definitely
think that
grow.
I hit 100K before the wedding episode and like I
Hmm.
haven't actually looked at like their follower counts, but I would hope that I think that they're at someone put a mustache.
That was cute. I didn't know you could.
But if they're above 100K, like then they are like right where we were in terms of follower growth.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. When I last looked, they were all at like 50, 60,000. So I
I
wasn't
saw that.
sure.
You know who has the most? I think Brett. I think Brett this
That
season
doesn't
has.
surprise me.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that
he's
a lot.
amazing. Yeah, he's cute. He's best. I love him.
So out of the men, who do you think, like physically, who are you most attracted to? And also, like mentally and emotionally, who do you think you would be most compatible with?
It's honestly like, is there a question that it's Brett? Like, there's no question.
Yeah, for me
It's
it's
him for sure. Like that chocolatey, beautiful man. Plus, he has good morals and like just such a sweet soul. It seems like I don't know. I love him. Natalie, like,
the
don't judge
way
me.
Deepti is the way she described Brett, I was like, huh? No, I definitely like Brett. Like physically, Brett is my type, which
Yeah.
is um like if anyone wants to know, because I've actually received this question a lot, like Shane was not my physical type. Like I always hear
Mhm.
that. Like someone was like, Natalie, I always go for white men. No, I don't. Like, please.
You
Um,
actually, yeah, you mentioned to me you like ethnic men.
I was like, well, it's not about like the race or ethnicity by any means, but I was like, in terms of like my past boyfriends, for the most part, they've been non-white. So I was like, it's not like someone said like, did you go for Shane because he was a white man? I was like, no, like, but anyways, no,
But how would
physically,
you
I
know
feel like it's
that through a wall anyway?
You wouldn't. Yeah.
yeah, but you make the assumption too. I was like, this guy says he likes the Green Bay Packers. He's from Wisconsin. He likes
She
beer. I was like,
said.
I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
assumption
He's
is
got a very
that
Caucasian energy, I have to admit.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, Shane. I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of, I don't know. Like, I was like, I feel like he might be white. Just like how the men on the other side could definitely guess that I was Asian.
Yeah.
Most likely
Sure.
without me outwardly saying it, by saying my last name's Lee. You know, my parents are immigrants. I'm sure they made the connection somehow.
Yeah.
The thing is, you're in there for so long talking about things that it's going to be impossible to avoid certain like assumptions about people because it's going to be clear.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like when they ask me what my favorite food is and I say like Korean food, like I'm assuming they would assume that
You're
I'm
Korean.
Korean by putting things together of like, you know, again, my parents being immigrants and like they cut this out, but I talked a lot about being like called chink because we were filming at the height of the pandemic, and I was like, I've just faced a lot of like racism, so I'm sure they were able to like put everything together.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I think that might have been the giveaway, not the
yeah.
fact that Korean food.
But I mean, I
Yeah.
mentioned that at the end, just being like, hey, this is like what, you know, it's been like from my perspective, and I'm sure, but like from the very beginning, they were able to like assess that I was East Asian. But definitely Brett, though, going back to that, is my type
Mm-hmm.
in terms of emotionally too. I also really like Marshall and Paul. I just like men who are like, I think more on like the more calm side and
Yeah. I agree
But
with Paul too. I like him.
my only issue with Paul is that what we now episode 10.
Yeah.
I just like haven't heard him say anything interesting still.
Yes,
I know.
I agree. We
We
don't know
talked
much
about
about
this on our podcast of how like Paul and Micah's relationship just seems like more of the like we haven't learned anything about them. It's just more
Yeah,
like I love
nothing.
you, I miss you, but like
yeah.
you know
What
like
else is there to you? Yeah. Like you're
So,
just a
so who do you like the least? Who's the villain of season 4?
it sucks to say it, but honestly, obviously Irina. I feel so bad because I know she's getting a lot of hate right now, and hopefully she
Who's
can
Oh,
like,
Irma? Yeah,
yeah,
we call her Irma on my channel.
Irma.
Yeah,
wait, why?
it just came out once and we stuck with it.
I hate answering this question,
Yeah.
but I think that just based on the way the show is going, it's definitely Jackie in terms of like she's you know no one's really rooting for her and
Hmm.
Josh or you know so I think it's her. It really sucks though. I mean, I'm not saying that like it's weird answering the question. It sucks because like when you meet like Deepti, when you met Bartice in person and he was like the quote unquote villain of season 3, everyone is so kind. Like I'll even say it about like Shaina too, who is
Hmm.
one of the quote unquote villains of season 2 is like in person she's like very very like kind and cordial. So
Yeah.
it's tough because it's like yeah, it's their actions and words that like are really you know like the things that they do on TV aren't
Behind the
great,
scenes.
but
Hmm.
when you meet them, you have like a different perspective. It's tough.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously Jackie is very keen to blame the edit. I get my question for you is: have you, when you were on the show, say example out of your cast,
Hmm.
and how they were in real life, did you watch the show back and say, did you watch the show back and think, oh, well, they didn't behave like that when I was with them, but they look quite bad on TV, or they look better on TV than they were like in real life?
I think that we saw that with Danielle a lot. Like, I think production really manipulated her story quite a bit, but she's not like that in real life. Obviously, she's one of our good friends, and I think they just kind of really played up. Production really, like, kind of very much took advantage of them and their vulnerability, both Nick and her. Like, but it's not really how she is in real life. So I think she got a lot of heat for it.
And they got
Yeah,
divorced, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is for the best.
yeah, I would
Still
agree. I think
debating.
Danielle, and maybe it's less like manipulation, but more so they showed kind of like their worst moments because they were very cute at like at least from our eyes, and I think that those moments weren't shown. I think Kyle got a way better portrayal than he actually is in real life. I think that he no, I was going to say it on the podcast anyways, but you know, he was very much like just kind of wanted to get engaged for screen time. Like he not only proposed to Shayna that he didn't have a connection with, but like another
Mm-hmm.
girl. as well. And, I think that whole relationship was definitely like, they were like, let's just make screen time type of thing. And I think it kind of
Fraudulent.
actually worked well in his favor.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and I think Shake got a better edit just based on things like he said that I understand why Netflix or the production team cut it out of the show, but he said some pretty like really just crazy stuff. And then I think Ayana got a little bit of a worse edit, and I'm biased because she's my best friend, but they made her seem like such a homebody and stuff, and I was like, that's not true.
no, she's a go-getter. Yeah, she's so much fun when we're
Yeah, she's
out.
so much fun.
The
They
life
made
of
her
the
seem like
party.
very and I think the same for me too. I think they made me seem like a little bit more mature than I'm not saying I'm not because that there's a side of me that is, but I think I was so silly in the pods and they just cut it all out, which I get. I think it was
Yeah.
just to show how different Shane and I were, but I'd say those are the big
Honestly, you're
ones.
right. Even with me, I think like everyone's like, "Oh, like she comes off like such an angel," and I am an angel actually. I love people, but I just have this like party side to me too, where I like to go out and have fun, and like I'm not just this like perfect little thing. Like I go through shit too, just like everyone else. So yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
So when it comes to like blaming the edit, how much right do you think people have to that?
Um,
For me, because I feel like they portrayed me pretty well, like for the most part, and that was me, like in all honesty. But
Here's the thing we always say though, is like when you say things on TV, like you said it on TV.
hmm
Like at the end of the day, or the things that you do on TV, you did on TV. I think that's where you can't blame the edit. Like, I think when there's straight up words coming out of your mouth and you see the mouth moving, like you can't blame the edit. Like you said something like really
that's
bad,
true.
or this is also an example too. I think with the Jackie, Marshall, and Josh situation of Jackie probably knew how it was going to look going on that date with Josh in front of the cameras. And it's like, but you made that decision to go on that date knowing how it was probably going to look, which wasn't good.
Yeah,
Um,
regardless of when they aired it, you did that. So
that type of thing.
Yeah, so she's trying to say that they aired it in a different order and that she was already broken up with Marshall before she went on the date with Josh.
which I'm a little confused about because when you see the scene with Marshall and Jackie and they're talking, remember she goes like, "I just saw Josh."
Exactly, yeah.
So, and like I legit went back and watched that part too, and I was like, I was looking at her mouth to see if she worded it, and she did. Like, I even sent it to Natalie. I was like, I don't know if this is
Yeah.
editing. Like,
I
maybe
don't
It's
it's
know
not
though.
really,
right.
yeah,
I'm not sure. Like the way her mouth's moving, because when I was listening to it,
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, did she say I've just seen Josh, or does she say I just shot with Josh? Because it kind of sounds like shot, but it kind of sounds like seen. So I was a bit like,
hmm
did they put that over her mouth? She's saying that they did, but
Yeah. I don't know. It was filmed a year ago, so you never know like what you actually remember. But for me, even if she says, even if I shot with Josh, like it still happened,
yeah,
right?
you were still there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you were still
exactly.
there. So I don't know how much.
It's never going to be black and white, but I will say that I don't know. It's tough because I think sometimes you can blame the edit, but it's the reason why an edit went a certain way is because there's so much like footage to make it that way. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you
Yeah.
gave them enough evidence, baby.
Or
Yeah.
like enough like things on screen to make a storyline a certain way because
Yeah.
like a piece of it is like I'm sure there's more to Jackie's story. I'm sure that there was like editing to make it more of a condensed story so viewers could understand and it's probably not as black and white as like we see it. But then like you see Marshall who's so upset during that meeting too. So it's like if they had already broken up, like why is he so upset about it and asking for the ring back? Like who knows? You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Like it's just but I'm sure that there was editing involved in her storyline
Yeah.
and
Like
it's not as black and white where
yeah.
she's in the wrong and Marshall's in the right. But I do
Yeah.
think in the same breath of like they couldn't have made the storyline that way without like the footage.
Yeah, like I honestly don't think that the date occurred at the exact same time as the dress fitting. Like I feel like they orchestrated that a little bit to just create more drama. Like I'm sure those didn't coincide, right? Like I don't.
But I do think but I also think so too of like, sorry, and you might have a different opinion. I guess people
Yeah,
might
what's
be on
your
the other
opinion on
end.
it as an outside
No,
viewer?
it's just when I'm trying to think of the timeline in my head, and I'm like, he went to the dress fitting, and then she went on the date, and how she said it, my brain was just like, hold on, I'm fried. But no, it also doesn't make sense because I feel like when she was on the date with Josh, he was like, oh, did you tell Marshall you were coming here, or does Marshall know we're speaking? And she said no. And I feel like when she broke up with Marshall, she told him that she had an attraction to Josh, so it's just not lining up. She's also saying that Marshall called her a transphobic slur, but then he's denying it.
Mhm.
Who do we believe? But she's also claiming that she has the audio and that Netflix are going to air it at the reunion.
Ooh.
Well, we'll just have to see if they air it. It's tough because I don't even know what sides to take. Because my initial, if I was just a viewer, I would take Marshall's side.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, hey, she's already given, like, is being given this, like, villain edit, or, like, she doesn't come out great in these episodes. So, like, as a viewer, I would be like, oh, like, Jackie's just being really defensive and, you know, just, saying anything. But on the other hand, have I been in her shoes where I have all these, like, receipts and I want to be like, no, like, my ex is lying? Yeah. But then you go through of, like, for me, this is solely about me. It's like if I put it on my social media, does it make me look really messy? And then like my coworkers and my boss and my family members follow me on social media, and like, so it's a weird line of like, I don't know. I just don't know. There's also been situations where there are no cameras and no receipts, and I know like, let's say Shane is lying or Shaina is lying, and I can't do anything about it. It's like her word or mine. So it's tough seeing it, having been in Jackie's shoes. Like, I don't know. So I'm like, I think I
Would
can't even have an opinion.
So I know that you guys had said on your podcast that Netflix pay for the rings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Would why would she want to keep, like, does she have to give it back if they don't get married or no?
No,
Oh,
you
okay.
can
So
keep the
Netflix
rings.
pay for it, but you don't give them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they do, how the whole process works is they actually have the rings like on set, and then the men rank which rings they want to give to their fiance. So like, you know, this is the type of ring I want to give. If someone else chooses that, like this is my second choice and third choice. But they're already paid for and provided. And even if we don't get married, even if you leave the experiment early, like Diamond and Carlton did in season one, the or whoever, the women or the men get to keep the rings. So there's no like, you don't have to give it back. I even actually emailed production being like, what do I do with it? Do you guys want it back? They're like, no, keep it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so she definitely just took it because she was broke then. Interesting.
But it's really hard to pawn. Like maybe she
So,
thought she could pawn it, but it's a lab grown diamond, I think. So if you pawn it, like the most you get is like $500.
Yeah,
So
it's not
maybe that's a
much.
lot, but like it's a lot of work, like trying to pawn
it's
it
a lot to
anyway.
Jackie.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. That was
Okay, my thing is,
messy.
I get why Marshall asked for it back. I think he was just like, like let me just not. I don't want to use the word petty, but probably like, it represents their relationship. But I also understand why she wants to keep it. I was like, I kept mine too. I think Shane actually wanted my ring, and I was like, hell no,
Mhm.
it's mine.
Yeah,
Well,
that's.
I mean, it's good obviously for you to keep it because even if you can't pawn it, you could perhaps like turn it into something else.
Yeah.
Marshall definitely wanted it back to be like, no, bitch, go home
Yeah.
to your house without electricity.
Yeah.
No. Wait,
No.
honestly, but I think like Jackie does pretty good. Isn't she like a dental hygienist? And
Yeah, she's a dental hygienist.
yeah, so I think like I was like, you know what? She
Didn't she
probably.
also tweet that she has like multiple degrees too?
Oh, I don't know.
I think she tweeted that. But
She hasn't got
anyways,
a degree in therapy, that's for sure.
listen, we all need therapy. Bro, yeah.
Well, no,
Yep.
I thought she was a dental assistant, which was like I thought she just like sat on the
Oh.
desk in the foyer, and she was like, "Oh, you're here for your 2:30." But I think yeah, she has a degree in dental receptioning.
Mm.
Well, not me, just spitting wrong facts. Just trying
Mhm.
to defend
The
anyone these
Sif
days.
Defender, yeah.
Um, yeah, but that ring, I know on social media everyone's like, "How can she ask for the ring back?" And I was like, I kind of understand why she kept it though. I was like, I think I would have in that moment too.
But
Honestly,
she
like
was the one that broke up with him, though. It's not like he had
exactly.
really done anything that toxic, apart from possibly call her a transphobic slur. Oh, and a project.
Yeah, that's true, but yeah, I see it. I mean,
Honestly, if she didn't care about the relationship and she just wanted to move on with Josh, like, what does it matter if she has the ring or not? I would just give it back. I'm like, okay, fine. If this is gonna make you feel better because I'm breaking up with you, take it.
But also, would you not think I'm on TV? I should just take the high road and give the ring back,
Mm-hmm.
or are you just like, no, give me the diamonds?
Give me the diamond. The ring's not
um,
even that great. It's like blah.
I don't know what I would do in that situation. I feel like it wasn't even about the ring. I think both of them were just trying to like do one last jab at each other, you know?
That's
Yeah,
exactly.
Like
sure.
I think it was less about the ring, but more so like the fact he asked for it back and she's like, "No."
Yeah.
They
It's
were just
mine.
yeah, so
Okay, well, let's move on from Jackie because I'm bored of her.
Mm.
What do you guys think of Kwame and Chelsea?
I met Kwame in New York and I love him.
Did he have
I
a wedding ring on? No, wait, we don't want spoilers.
I
You
can't
know
tell
what?
you. I can't tell you.
But I do keep seeing a lot of spoilers on like maybe Twitter or people are coming in my comment section and throwing spoilers out saying that they obviously saw it on Twitter.
Mhm.
So but I'm hearing mixed things.
Well, we got to keep our mouth shut.
I think honestly, if you really look for it, this entire season has been spoiled. I think people found like the marriage licenses already. So
Yeah.
like I think everyone knows how I mean, if you're a really like if you really do your research, you
If
can
you're
find
digging
out
deep.
how it ends, which I mean, I'm that type of person where I like knowing the ending and then like watching like how did it get to that point. So,
No, that's the worst.
I
no, that's who
agree. I'm
I
like, I
am.
don't want
I
to
am
watch
that
it that way
person.
at all. I
Maybe
know
it's
what
like
happens, and I was still left on a cliffhanger in this last episode. I was like, wait, what? How dare
no.
you?
Um,
But
Oh, so it's kind
so
of, I feel like it's kind of hard for me to ask you questions about them then if you already know the outcome.
okay, why don't you just ask us and we'll just be like
we'll
next
try to
time.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll ask them in like the most non-spoiler way.
Okay. Um, is is Chelsea walking around with a blindfold on?
Okay, this is my point of view as a viewer. So I really like Chelsea. I actually do
Too.
really like Kwame and kind of see his side as
Mm-hmm.
well. I think the whole Micah interactions were just like that aside, I was just like, what the hell was that? But
That's hard to
I
watch.
feel like because she's so and I feel like I could say this because I'm like this, she's kind of like controlling. Not controlling, like she's very particular and like very honest with what she wants. I really like Chelsea to be honest.
Me too.
I could see why like Kwame's kind of like acting out in response. Like he's just kind of like he even says it himself, he goes, I feel like I'm suffocating.
Yeah.
Um, we do have to. I'm really sorry, but we do have to talk about the engagement underwear shoot.
Honestly, I was expecting something lacy, like if it's gonna be a boudoir, but it
There's a scene where
granted they
like,
look
hey,
good.
this is her chest, this is Kwame's head, and it's just like I was like, who's the photographer here?
But also, like, I have to say, I do think it was really sweet that she let her niece do her makeup for her. I thought that was really sweet.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um,
Here comes
no,
the jab. Let's
Then
go.
what are you about to say? Just spit it
Yeah,
out.
but here comes the but.
no, well, that kind of was the jab that her niece did the makeup for her. But why did she have like smoky eyes, pink lips, and then like a neon rainbow set? Like she was just a few colors away from being the LGBT flag. which probably would have scared Jackie away.
Oh my God.
Well.
But there was just a lot. There was a lot going on. That was all.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, agreed. I know that she said that engagement shoot was her dream, but I was like, oh, I don't even know what to say about it. To be honest, I was shocked that they even kind of like did that on TV. I feel like that's something you should just like do in private.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I don't know.
I was just confused about it. I was like, so it's your engagement lingerie shoot. So this is going where? You're gonna like send this out with the invites, or like why? I was confused. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for their own personal little book. I don't know, like their little. I don't know. You're right. I don't think they would never send that out. I could never. Could you imagine sending it to your parents?
But I will say, I think it's probably for their own personal use. But I will say that I did think, like, overall, like Chelsea saying it was her dream to do this, I thought it was cute.
I thought so too. It's
I think
but
it's
it's
cute.
like,
And I think they were kind of limited because they're on TV. And like we said earlier, you kind of do more in front of the cameras to kind of like prove something to the viewers than like what you would do privately. So I was like, maybe she, wanted to give her niece, like, wanted to show how like family oriented she is by like bringing her niece into it, but it's not something she would have done like privately. It's just like more of a let's kind of like show who we are type of thing in front of the cameras.
But the niece didn't actually do the makeup.
Okay, yes.
What is savage?
Natalie,
savage.
Whatever. You know what? Regardless of all of this, I love Chelsea.
I do
I
too.
support her and Kwame,
She's
though.
sweet.
Yes, some people didn't love the scene, but in a weird way, I actually did. Like, I did think that, like, can you imagine if I did that on TV, though, with Shane?
Bro, I don't think Shane could stay still for that long.
Okay, in a defense of Shane, though, people always say he was, like, so wild and, like, couldn't sit still on TV, but I'm telling you, when we were by ourselves, all we would do was sit still on the couch. Like, I think it's crazy when I saw comments like he's so wild or he can't control his emotions. When the cameras aren't around, he was so still, literally. So that's why I was watching the show and I was like, wait, why is he moving so much? What happened to Deepti?
Oh, she was like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." No, I don't. I have no idea.
Yeah, she's all like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah, she was like, "Bye, girl. Enough of your shit."
I know. Wait, let me just email this person that I'm gonna be late to their meeting.
Oh, sorry. Have we overrun? We have, yeah.
Oh, let me see if I could get Deepti back on.
I actually, just to clarify, I do like Chelsea, but that photo shoot was not the one.
Yeah, it was kind of just. It was out of the blue. I did think how she like set it up. Like I would have assumed it was random if she wasn't like, this is what I've always wanted to do with like my fiance. So in that way, I thought it was really cute. I think they're also like very limited of like how do you get like also like a photographer or kind of get ready with, because I'm sure they set that up within like a few days, to be honest. So like I want to give her the benefit of the doubt where it wasn't
Looked like less.
Yeah.
A couple of hours was what that set was giving.
Anyways, but who are we? Okay. Who's next?
Bliss and Zach. So firstly, would you accept a second proposal from a guy?
It would be really hard for me to if I was in Bliss's situation and like if a guy broke up with me, spent Mexico with it's okay. It would be really hard for me to say yes. But I'm a big supporter of Zach and Bliss. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm glad that she did, but I think if I was in her shoes, I'd be so insecure of the fact that he broke up with me for another girl, spent like Mexico with another girl, and then came back to me. Like I'd be like,
But then would you be insecure when you knew that girl was Irma?
Irma. Oh no.
Then you'd be like, oh yeah, I know you're gonna come back to me.
Yeah,
I think she
well,
said this before, right? She was like, well, obviously I'm a better choice than Irma. Damn, I'm using Irma. But
It's catchy.
actually, I talked to Bliss about this in New York, and I think this was one of the toughest things for her. But she's like, I knew it in my bones that Zach might be my person. So it's like you have to struggle with pride versus like knowing. Like, are you going to let pride get in the way of being with the person that you really like? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you
Mhm.
mean.
Yeah.
And I guess that obviously you know about their relationship too. Did they, when they did this, obviously, yeah, people are like, no spoilers, so we won't put spoilers in about it. But
Hmm.
when you were doing the experience in New York, did all of them like collectively take their rings off or put their rings on, or did they do maybe wear like a little Michael Jackson glove?
Hmm. Yeah, they're. I don't think no one is allowed to wear their rings or anything because they don't want spoilers out there. So,
Right, okay.
hmm, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And are you on board with Zach and Bliss? I mean, I personally would have been overboard at that proposal, but that's just me.
I'm crying. Overboard with the. Honestly, the biggest thing for me was that they wore shoes on the boat. I'm just saying. Anyway,
What does that do?
um,
Make the boat dirty?
yeah. You're not supposed to wear like outside shoes on a boat, like that's a boat culture thing. But anyways, that's besides the point. I'm actually here for them. Honestly, I just want Bliss to be happy because that girl is just beautiful inside and out. And I hope Zach knows how freaking lucky he is that she came back around to him because yeah, normally wouldn't happen. I feel like that would never fly on our season. There's so much swapping and like flip-flopping in this season. It's insane.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
Yes. I don't know, but I'm
yeah.
excited for you not to meet her Bliss next weekend because she's great.
Honestly, I can't wait
Stan.
to meet Bliss. I wasn't the biggest fan of Zach when I first watched the episodes, but he definitely grew on me. If anyone's ready for this process, I honestly think it's Zach. Like, besides Brett and Tiffany, I think Zach very unapologetically, like, not unapologetically, like, he puts his vulnerability on the table, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, I feel like he's very honest in front of the cameras.
But
What do
would
you
you
think?
have?
You look concerned. Gonna say.
No, no. It was just when you said that he grew on you. I thought, well, yeah, fungus does do that. But have you? I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, I am. Zach is sweet. Zach is sweet. He's like a sweet, well-meaning person. Definitely don't wish him any harm. Do I wish him some singing lessons? Yes. But harm? No. I personally would not have got past the song, but I do think they are actually well suited. I think, especially in the later episodes, I was like, oh, okay, it's way less awkward than it looked in the first few episodes. I can kind of see how they get along now.
Yeah.
Especially not so much the scenes where they were meeting the parents, because again, that was still a bit awkward naturally.
Mhm.
It's going to be if you have a dad like Bliss's, I guess, but the scenes around that I thought were quite genuine. I was like, okay, they're kind of like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a little sold on you. Go
Yeah,
on.
like did you see the shift in Zach when he was with Irina versus when he was with Bliss? I think you see like a different side to him. Like he's like a little bit more confident, like comes up to her and kisses her. Like we didn't see that confidence before, I felt like.
Oh yeah, that was a bit much though. When he like came up and kissed her, she was like
The
halfway through a
salmon
con-
the salmon mouth.
Okay, so the reason why I'm like very much on the Zach and Bliss train is because they kind of, I mean, obviously no one really knows like the real us by any means, but I think that I'm like very like weird behind like a lot of like Zach and Bliss's like kind of, and he says it on the show, like, you know how he's like, we're both like nerdy and weird and have this like weird sense of humor type of thing. I
Mm.
think because that's like my sense of humor at certain points that like they like speak to me just like the way that they interact and like who they are as people. So I really like them a lot. And I like, I don't know. I love them a lot, to be honest.
I do
Okay,
too.
so let me just on that. Let me ask you like about parallels between your season and other seasons because I do feel like a lot of particular scenarios almost kind of repeat themselves.
Hmm.
Deepti, when everyone was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna say yes to Shake," and then you got up there and basically handed him his ass on a platter. Um, do you think that Zainab took took inspiration from you?
No, actually, the Dallas season 3, filmed literally 2 weeks after us. So
Oh,
she didn't even watch my episode before they
right.
filmed. So this was her completely on her own. Like there was no inspiration whatsoever. So yeah, I think that was a hard moment for me to watch, Zay, because I understand what she was trying to do, but the delivery was just really came off really strong and kind of like mean. Like, but I do get what she was trying to do, but yeah, that was tough to watch. But no, she had no idea what I did on screen, like so they waited a
And
lot longer.
And with you, Natalie, obviously there's been comparisons, I guess, a little bit to Nancy, but more so to
Mm.
just not like personality wise or anything, but just the
Yeah.
scenario of it being like the partner who you got engaged to, then when you came out into the real world, they had an interest in someone else and were like low key or high key pursuing that, depending on how you look at it. But then it's also, I guess, it's a similar situation really with Zach and with Kwame because they both also had conversations where it's like, is this a love triangle with other people? Do you like when you watch it? Are you like, oh God, that feels familiar?
Um, yes and no. I think it's different. I think Shane, like the connection Shane and Shayna had in the pods, I had obviously no awareness of. I know it looks like I do, but I actually didn't at all because Shayna was actually my closest friend in the lounge. So they obviously don't show that on the show, but like Deepti was there. Like you could ask any of the women.
Hmm.
She was my best friend. She's actually the one who encouraged me to tell Shane to tell him I loved him. So like watching the show, I was just like, what the hell is going on?
Hmm.
Wait,
Um,
what?
Yeah, yeah, they were really close.
yeah.
They had the
So
same
But
type
did
of
you know
sense of
that you were
humor.
talking to the same guy?
no, no.
Actually,
It was,
Shayna was very quiet about her connections. Like I had no idea she had a connection with Kyle really that much either.
yeah. So it was very strange because I was also getting wrapped up where Shane, for the most part, was like, "Hey, it's just you and I." So like, I just assumed he wasn't talking to other girls. Like he's like, "If it's not you, I'm gone," and I said the same thing. So when I saw those scenes, I was like, when did those happen? Again, I kind of like understand in a weird part of like, hey, it's the pods, you're exploring, but it's like, don't lie to me then, both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was really, so people always like don't understand where like why I was so hurt like for so long, but it was mostly because Shayna and I were so close. And I felt like, I was like, wow, I feel like I was like straight up manipulated watching the show because I was like, why were you pushing me to Shane and saying like you should tell Shane you love him, all this stuff, and then like you do all this stuff behind my back. So I felt like I know we're going on a tangent. I guess what I'm trying to say though is um I'm not I think if it was just like our storyline the way it's shown on season 2, I don't know who to compare it to. I would say like, but in terms of how I was feeling, I could probably compare it to like Chelsea. I'm sure like she was shocked watching a lot of the interactions between Kwame and Micah, like not only in the pods but also in Mexico.
But
Um,
wait, hold on. Sorry, I still am not over this Shayna telling you to marry Shane thing. I just have one more question. So you said that you didn't know that Shane was talking to Shayna,
the
but
way they both told me is that they were just having friend dates. So
but did she know that you were talking to him?
yeah, so I was like very honest. I think everyone knew in the lounge of like they thought Shane and I
Hmm.
were gonna end up together. So if you see the honeymoon episode for our season, the reason why everyone's saying like Natalie and Shane are gonna make it and no one understands, like the viewers don't understand why, it's because we were very outwardly like telling people, not only me in the women's lounge, but Shane in the men's lounge, that we were going to end up together. So everyone was like very aware.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, fun
and
fact, she actually, like, Shane was in my top 3, and she came out like day 2 or day 3, and she's like, Shane is my person, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, excuse me? And then that's when I was like, okay, well then Shane's taken. So
yeah, and like I don't think that meant he was taken by any means. Like I was like, I'm
oh,
sure. I think it was like also what he was telling me, which you don't see on the show, is
mhm.
like he was just like, it's just you. I told, and he also kind of killed my other dates. He
Yeah.
like got mad at a guy for like going on like a date with me, like continuously going on dates with me. So it was definitely on both ends, which made me feel like, oh, like we're both like, no, we're gonna end up together type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the Shayna thing, yeah, like looking back, I think a lot of like where I'm wary of her, though I'm like very indifferent to what happened now, if I'm being honest. Like it's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
But where a lot of like my hurt came from is that I feel like because I was so close with her and because she acted like such a close friend, I was like, wow, you were like lying to me for so long. Like just for so long, not only during filming, but like the year before, for the year, it took a year for our episodes to come out, but you lied for me also for an entire year and never
Right.
apologized beyond like at the reunion show when I was like, why did you lie to me? But that I don't think has ever been like revealed or I ever talked about it, but that's where like a lot of my anger and hurt came from in that well, like with Shayna is like it was deeper because she was one of my closest friends during that process.
Yeah, like we as viewers did not get that like whatsoever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But again, at the end of the day, this also happened like 2 years ago. I think like now, I think we're at a place where it's like it's indifferent. But at the time it was so hurtful because I relied on Shayna so much in the pods as like my closest friend.
Of course, yeah. Wow, well, thanks for the exclusive. So we're gonna do. I'm gonna round things up for you because I know you guys have like busy schedules and stuff. So we're gonna play like a really short, like cute little game of like, would you rather?
Oh
Before
no.
we go, who are you? I know you guys are like big fans of Brett, and also of like Bliss and Zach. Who are you rooting for to win? Or not to
Like
win, not to win. It's not a game
I'm like,
show,
is
but
this isn't a perfect match?
or any other dating game show, like dating reality show where they have a game as part of the concept.
Mhm.
Who are you like rooting for? I mean, I guess you already know, but just pretend you don't.
I mean, it's always going to be Tiffany and
Tiffany
Brett
and
for me.
Brett.
Like,
Yeah.
even if they make it or don't make it, like individually, I think that they're awesome people. I've talked to them both,
Sure.
and you can tell they're very much like, I think it's also the maturity in both of them, where I truly think they did actually like this experiment for like genuine reasons. Like, we're really casted because they were kind of sick of like the conventional dating world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, they give us hope for love, in this experiment, like that it can work. Because
Yeah.
most of the cases so far, it's like, I don't think it's going to. But with Tiff and Brett, it's like, oh my gosh, we're restored in some like hopeless romantic love.
Totally. And
Hmm.
who's the couple who you're just like, yeah, I don't care what happens. Micah and Paul.
Yeah, I think so. It just like we don't get much from them
No.
this season. Like every time we see them on screen, they're just like kind of beating around the bush of what the real issues are essentially, and like I don't even
And
know what's going on with them.
and would you be freaked out if you went to meet a guy's mum and he looked like you, but in 20 years?
You know what? I wouldn't be freaked out. I'd be like, I could see this. I was like, I think that this is a good fit. I was
Yeah.
like, look at if she looked great, I'd be like, wow, it's just now I know what I'm going to look like in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
like the Freudian aspect, are you not like
Yeah, but like it's not like he picked her because of it, so it doesn't
yeah,
freak me
okay,
out.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
because
like he
I was
couldn't
like
see
blind.
her. It's not like
Yeah.
he's like, oh,
Yeah,
do you?
yeah. That's true.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Um,
But I'm just like because they aren't like sharing much about their relationship. I think I'm just like less bought in compared to like the other couples, if that makes sense.
yeah, I also just think like sometimes you have couples that have like a bit more of like a puddle deep connection rather
Mhm.
than like an actually deep connection. And maybe that's just them, but they're happy with that.
Mhm.
Oh, exactly. Wait, who are you rooting for? I want to know.
Brett and Tiffany, obviously,
Yeah.
are at the top.
Mhm.
And then I think Zach and Bliss are next. You just root for the people who you can see the longevity with, can't you? And the other couples I'm unsure about.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, probably not Jackie and Marshall, though.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to play a quick game of like, who would you rather spend 24 hours trapped in an elevator with?
Ooh, okay, let's do it.
Okay, so Mika or Irma?
Micah.
Yeah, Micah.
Shake or Bartice?
Bartice.
Shake or Shane?
Shane.
I
Don't
do.
you dare say shake.
I'm gonna say Shake.
Are you serious?
Yeah. At
100%
least I could. At
Shane.
least I could. Yeah, I think I hate talking about this, but like Shane and I just like it's. I mean, I think we both people can figure it out, but we're not on very good terms, and I feel like I could get really contentious, and I wouldn't have the ability to like for Shake. I could just be like, "Stop talking to me," and he'd probably stop.
That's true.
Shane or Shayna?
Shayna.
Shayna, yeah.
Oh, interesting, Natalie. I
Mhm.
I
just, you
mean,
know, when
I
you're
think
just like, I'm like, I'm sure she would hate to be trapped in a lift with either of them, but like, which one is it slightly
Which, yeah.
less? Yeah.
yeah, because at the end of the day, like I think again, I think with the Shane, I think it's different because it's now been like a year, so it's kind of just
Mm.
like it
Honestly, they
doesn't
might come
matter.
out as friends after that elevator.
I wouldn't go that far, but I don't like hold
Yeah.
anything against her like anymore. Like, so I think it'd just be easier.
Brett or Marshall?
Brett.
I like both of them. Maybe I'll go Marshall just for the plot, even though I love Brett.
Kyle or Shake?
Kyle.
Kyle.
Okay. Okay, so I think we've established all round Shake is probably the last person you would want to be stuck in a lift with.
No, yeah. It'd be entertaining probably, but I would love. I haven't seen Shake since reunion. Reunion, yeah.
That's what happens when you pray to God.
Yes,
Listen,
the
yeah.
universe is on my side.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for like jumping on this live and chatting to me. I had so much fun.
Yes, come visit us in Chicago.
Oh my
Yes,
God, yes.
please.
Do you know what? I was actually thinking, I really random, but I don't know why. I was actually thinking about moving to Chicago, just for like a few months,
Yes.
because I've been to New York, I've been to LA, so I was like, oh, maybe Chicago. And then
Yeah.
somebody was like, girl, Chicago is ghetto, like you will die. And I was like, really?
No, you
That's
won't.
not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
I
won't.
mean, yes, there's pockets of crime, but that's everywhere, and that's everywhere. You'll love it. Come summertime Chicago, you'll love
I was gonna say I'm from Southeast London. It's probably me causing the crime.
it. Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll show
totally.
you the good neighborhoods.
Yeah, Chicago's
Uh,
really fun. Just yeah, definitely come during the summer, not the winter time.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Wintertime.
Oh,
Yeah.
guys, thanks again. Thank you so much, and I'll definitely speak to you guys soon.
Yeah,
Yay.
thank you
Okay.
so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.